Have you been invited in the last few months to give a webinar or some kind of an online presentation on a topic you've spoken about before, and you use the same slides and just put them online? If so, this video is for you. My name is Maya Dolgan. I'm the founder of Brave for Me, and welcome to the fourth and final episode of the Stage to Screen series. Today's episode, Maya's makeover tips for your slide deck. Today, we'll be talking about how do you simplify your graphic language, how do you be consistent with your fonts and with your color scheme, and what do you need to do to think about the size? Because if you think about big presentations and then the little screens that people are watching from today, we have a lot that we need to do in order to adapt our materials. I'll be going back and forth today between old slides and newer things I've made in the last few months on Canva. So we're going to start by looking at my title cards. This is what my title card looked like before. My gold, my maroon, they're pretty close, but not exactly my colors. The font that I used here is from PowerPoint. It's not exactly my font. And I've been using it and it was fine. No one would look at it and say, oh, that's inconsistent. Except that when I actually went into Canva and started looking at the presentations that they offer there, I found this slide deck and it was like my spirit slide deck. Like I looked at it and I thought, yes, this one speaks to me. And that's what graphic language is all about, is that you can look at something and say, oh yeah, this touches me in some kind of way. This makes me feel good. So this is what my new, the titles might change depending on what the talk is. This is a different talk than my previous one, but it's just a different example here. Then when you get into some of your basic definitions and your introductions, you might have terms that you need to define. Here's an example of a slide that I used many times. This is a cartoon that I love and I will continue using this cartoon. And here's a question that I've asked many audiences. If I'm in person, then I will get an answer and there will be a discussion and then I'll put my answer up on the board. I have this Brene Brown quote from the beginning of Dare to Lead, and to me this quote sums it all up. And then I'll ask a second question. What are our goals in public speaking? And then I will give a second answer. This is a basic answer that all communications experts will tell you. The thing is that what I learned from the TED Talks book by Chris Anderson, we actually only want to put one idea on each slide. And even if that means you have more slides and you go through them more quickly, you actually want to simplify things for your audience as much as possible. So in my new presentation, I asked the same question, what is effective communication? But now I only have one answer on the slide. And I'll use the cartoon in some other time and I'll have another slide for the goals, public speaking. But this is a much simpler and more, in my opinion, more beautiful way of showing the answer to this question. This is another example that I've used as well, sometimes later in the same presentation when I want to bring people back together. And you can see I have a big image here on this one, which is different. It's different than the kind of cartoon. It's kind of grabs you in more of an online kind of a way than a New Yorker cartoon might. When you get to the main body, I'm going to run you through 4 slides that I've used many times, which are all text. And these work fine if I have a half hour to be speaking and I'm answering and stopping and people are asking questions and there's a discussion going on and whatever it is, and people are taking notes and they want to write down a checklist of the things that are important to them. But if you're watching online and you're doing the dishes at the same time as you have this video open or some webinar that you're listening to, then it's probably not going to grab your attention in the same kind of way. And here it is, just goes on and on, and it's hard. I'm watching this and saying like, oh, I'm excited that I'm done with this. Instead, I've made this new kind of a style where it's only the titles. Here's 4 titles from a different presentation. And those 4 titles, I then speak and I offer the information, and it's different than having all of that written information on the screen. So we have simple language, we have bigger images and really clear text, a consistent brand kit that I made on Canva. And if you don't have a brand kit, at least throughout the presentation, use the same colors and very simple fonts. You don't need to add a lot of extra stuff and beyond it. Comment and tell us how you're going to do a makeover for your presentation. And this is the last video in the series, so I'd love your feedback. Let me know what's worked for you, which of the 4 videos I put out you connect with the most, and follow Brave for Me on Facebook and on LinkedIn, and I'll see you soon.